6 o'clock on the dot, asikuvusele ngolelo muhle sikwamukele lihlelweni loluthanza kwe Kusile breakfast show. I am Sifiso Ngumale and I'm not alone. I am with the lovely Lulu Makakula. Lulu, how are you this morning?
I'm good. I'm good, Njani Mhleksen.
Doing very well. You know, excited for today's program.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, not now though. I'll tell you why. But
Right. It's a good day. Thank you so much for joining us today on the show. It is the 15th of June 2023. We are halfway through the year 2023. Kanti ungakhona nokusibukela ka YouTube mangabe ungakhona ukusibukela ku TV yakho noma ke kumabona kude. Today on the show we'll be joined by Inyatsi Managing Director Sandile Mhlanga to talk about Inyatsi's projects in Eswatini. Talkumela ukuthi Inyatsi Construction Group Holdings is currently operating in 11 countries. Lokufaka ikhathi live leSwatini, live leMozambique, South Africa, eMalawi kanye nalamanye emave. It has recently been awarded projects lamakhulu lamabili eveni lase Uganda kanye nase Somaliland. In the kingdom ke lapha eveni lapha ekhaya eSwatini, Inyatsi Construction has among many projects completed the state-of-the-art Mbadlane Manzini Highway and currently working on another one being the Sicunusa Nhlangano Road. Kanti ke lokunye lokukhulu laba ku celebrate leminyaka entophelile indzaba yokuthi lenkampani be celebrate iminyaka lengemashumi lamane solo yaqala kusebenza. Lokuhleke ngayo lenkampani Inyathi ukuthi wherever it is lapho ine project khona kuba khona ema community members la khona ukuthi a benefit ngokuthi kucashwa sona sive saleyo ndzawo. So ke sabe sikhumsana naye MD Lomhlekiseni kuva kabani njengemisebenzi ya Inyathi likhona lapha eSwatini at 6:30.
Kanzike sitaphinze sibe nabo belitiko letekulima babambisene nenkampani yahulumende lethuthukisa bona balimi kulandzela ke ukuthi bataba ne-youth agriculture indaba. Bathi ke lokho kulandzela ukuthi live la kangwane line population yabantfu labancane labanengi lapho khona ke more than half of the people are under the age of 25. Kanti ke labaningi babo labo are young people in Eswatini and they are faced with a host of socio-economic development challenges la faka ekhathi noma nje but not limited ku unemployment la faka ekhathi ke poverty, food insecurity. As such, the probability of the country to have effectively harness the demographic dividend is reduced.
As we get to address these challenges, there is a need to ensure effective involvement and participation of young people at all stages of the national development agenda. Aligned with that strategy, Leteglima, in collaboration with the United Nations, Eswatini, and other government ministries and parastatals, Batabgeba engage on a 2-day youth and agriculture indaba. Eletawutageta bamflabasha labalingansola kulaba ngemakhulu lasihlanu 500 bamflabasha labasuka kitotonge tikoti deliver Eswatini.
Yeah, kanti ke my expected outcomes je from lomsebenzi lomkhulu lona ukuthi bantu labasha abaphume sebakwadi kubona ama opportunities la viable labangaba explore khona ka agriculture nokuthi bakhona informa ama policy decisions that outside eparliament in such that abe inclusive bantu labasha bakhona ukuthi bathathe advantage noma ba leverage lawo ma opportunities la khona kutekulima. Kanti ke nehlelo nje lisaqhubeka saphinze sibe nabo labaqhamuka lapha ka IDCE. We will have their head of marketing Begiwezwane joining us kusitshela kabandi ekutheni what in the most cases makes businesses good abe unsuccessful when they access loan applications. She will just give us a comprehensive breakdown ekutheni business letter kutawufuna loans kufuna ukuthi ede abe aphethe ini. Don't go anywhere. Sitaqhubeka lehlelo sitaka market nyalo masibuya lungalele ube sifunza indaba lapha ekhaya.
Umsakazo wetithombe iEswatini TV utibophelele kuhlonipha nekulandzela umgomo wetekusakata loweluswe libandla letekuchumana eveni.
Ngephansi kwalomgomo sitimisele kusakata tindzaba tenteya ngaleso sikhathi tindzaba letide magama laqosheme letitsembekile letitsinza tonke tinhlangothi naletisebaleni
kusukela kutepolitiki, tetemphilo, tekulima, tetinkantolo, netemhlaba wonke jikelele. Siniletsela tindzaba njengoba tinjalo ngaleso sikhathi letenteka ngaso.
Kanzi kulo msakato siphindze sikulethele lonke luhlobo lwetemidlalo kusuka emidlalweni welibhola letinyawo kuye emidlalweni ledlalelwa ematafuleni kanye naleto letiqhamuka ngaphandle kwakuleli.
Leti tindzaba lowutiletselwa ngumsakato tithombe iEswatini TV.
Asifundze sinimukele sivusela nalo sanza kusivulela tindzaba. Ingonyama yenkosi Mswati wesithathu seyithumela ibandla lelikhetfo nemincele ukuthi lichube imalanga yokubhalisela lukhetfo kodwa kube nguLisondvo mhla ka-18 kulenyanga. Kubhalisa bekufanele kugcina ngalesithathu kuleli viki. Lesimemetelo sendiwe nguleli bandla ngalesithathu entsambama.
Bekunene kulandzela kutsi sive seMaswati siphume ngetinkani kutobhalisela lolukhetho lwalonyaka lukhetho lolukhulu la 2023 ikakhulu nyalo njengoba sekusondzela sikhathi sekwekuthi sikhathi sekubhalisa sivalwe. Ingwenyama ikubusisile lokwekuthi libandla kalichubekise leli langa lekugcina lalekubhalisa lolukhetho luchubekele kuleli sonto lesiyakilo mhla ka-18 June 2023 kutawuvalwa ke nge-6 PM ntsambama. Libandla ke letelikhetho nemincele linako lokukholwa nekwethemba ukuthi eMaswati lelithuba angeke libukele phasi atalithatha ngetandla totimbili. Sonke sive seMaswati silibhalisele lolukhetho labancane nabo labadzala. Singete sasaza nasakha live lethu bayethe wena waphakathi. Wena waphakathi.
Angazindaba.
Inkosikazi Makela Nkambule seyikhuthate wonke umuntu ukuthi abambe lapho angabamba ngakhona kude kusitakale loyo nesidingo lapho khona labanye bangakhona ifinyelela khona. Inkosikazi bekhuluma esigodlweni elisithini lapho beyimelelwe khona lizinyane umfana Nkosi Esibahle ngesikhathi inikela tingubo letitawusita abantu labeswele emimangweni ngetikhathi temakhata.
Inkosikazi Makela Nkambule yacela lona msebenzi ngeminyaka wa 2007 ngenhloso yokusita labo labaswele ukuthi bafuthumale ngetikhathi temakhata. Lo msebenzi wase wenziwa njalo ngeminyaka njengoba nalonyaka inkosikazi inikele tingubo letinkulungwane nemakhulu lamabili nemashumi lamabili. Tingubo letingamakhulu lasiphohlongo tiniketwe boba betukhulu. Umunye ummango utholele tingemashumi lamane kanti kuthole boba betukhulu labasihlanu esigodini sisinye njengoba tigoti titine even leSwatini. Tingubo letilikhulu nemashumi lasithupha tiniketwe emasontweni lasiphohlongo. Tinhlangano letingekho ngephansi kwahulumende letintsathu tithole tingubo letingemashumi lasiphohlongo. Netindlu tetindzaba lokufaka ekhatsi umsakato wetithombe iEswatini TV kanye nelibandla lemsakato wangephandle i-Outside Broadcasting Unit nato titfolile tilikhulu nemashumi lasiphohlongo tingubo letiniketele tindlu tetindzaba. Kulo msebenzi wekunikela letingubo bekukadze kunemazinyane esilo lafaka ekhatsi lizinyane umfana Nkosi Banzile nelizinyane umfana Nkosi Esibahle kanye nemfana Nkosi Sijumo lesihle. Inkosikazi Makela Nkambule lebeyikadze imelelwe lizinyane umfana Nkosi Esibahle ibonge emakhosi ngekubusisa lo msebenzi ukuthi ube impumelelo.
Umbhalo longcwele uthi ningatsinwa kwendalo kuhle. Galatia 6 verse 9 to 10. Kungumthandazo wethu kuthi ningatsinwa kwendalo kunje aze abuye Jesu kulandza libandla lakhe. Lamavesi achubeka athi, njengoba sinemathuba nje, asendele okuhle kibo bonke bantu. Mother Teresa wake wathi, I can do things you cannot. You can do things I cannot. Together we can do great things. Livesi lethu lithi, njengoba sinemathuba nje, asendele okuhle kibo bonke bantu. Sicelo sethu kini nonke nina beluhlanga lakangwane kuthi nguloyo naloyo akabambe lapho angabamba ngakhona kuze kusitakale nanguya umuntu lonesidingo lapho besingeke sifike khona ngoma sibone thina.
Umfanenkosi Sijumole Sihle ubonge inkhosikati ngenhlitiyo lenhle lenayo ngesive seMaswati.
Ngibonge lokhu makela kwendako singabongi yena kakhulu wenkosi sibonga ingwenyama yemhlaba levumile ukuthi ende nangumsebenzi lomhle kangaka le kuthi na kuthi kutawufika lo sikhathi lesi bantu sebagolodela kuthi ngabe sesitawubitwanini. Wenkosi siyabonga kakhulu angihambule inkosikazi make ngihambule lo lenhlito yakhe lenhle lengakale bonaka ukuthi wonke umuntu akadzingi ukuthi kube khona lo lala angakambathi ngeja uyabona ukuthi wonke umuntu ufanele ukuthi ambathe eve kushisa nebe kunene.
Lo khulumele bamfa benkosi lababukela imango boba betukhulu nabo bonke labazuzile kulomsebenzi kube nguShift Jozane lo wethembisile ukuthi labo lekumele bazuze kuleti ngubo njengesifiso senkosikazi batawuzuza ngalokufanele nangalokuphelele.
Inkosikazi ke ngenhlitiyo lenhle isibonile ukuthi lokhu kungena busika kunetinzanzane letikhona letidzinga tona letingubo. Siyethembisa kuyo inkosikazi sitibongela sonke ukuthi lesifiso sayo senhlitiyo kokuthi laba labaswele labalekithi lesihleli nabo lebe solo sitibuta ukuthi nakungena lobusika sitawubambathisani. Kepha ke kube kuhle enkosikadini makela ngambule ukuthi abone ukuthi angatikhuthuta konke lanako nasehlobeni laphila nabo ukuthi ende namsebenzi lomhle kangaka lesubongako namhla simela ekhathelitsini sibonga wona ukuthi sinetingubo nje lemakhaya nje bavile ngoba phela siphuma emakhaya.
Sibonga ukuthi inkosikazi nebakithi iyahlala icabanga ngebantu labaswele ngoba mawubuka letingubo nje licangeke libatholela abantu labathathwa letingubo leti. Uyabona ke ukuthi kuhlediwe phansi kwacatshwanga kwayofuna tingubo leti kahle kakhulu leti tawubhekana nesimo sonke semakhata ukuthi sive sengwenyama singatholwa lichwa.
Lo emukelelo msebenzi esifundzeni kube ngumfanenkosi Ithanzile njengemphathi wesifundza sakaHoho lobonge ukuthi lo msebenzi lomuhle nakangaka wenteke kulesifundza. Lo mnyaka lona wo16 kusukela inkosikazi yaqala lo msebenzi kanti tingubo letethulwe inkosikazi lo nyaka tingetekile uma kubukwa kuleminye iminyaka lengcile. Etindzabeni kubika Pholile Maziya esigodlweni eLutsitsini.
So phasele endlini timpunga umthetho losakhankanywa lotawubuka kusebenza kwe-Real Science and Technology Park umnyaka wa 2022. Imvana yelitiko letekwatisa tekuchumana nebuciko enkosatana sikhanyiso ibonge tempunga ngekubambisa lelitiko ukuthi likhone kusebenza lo mthetho ufike ekugcineni. Lo mthetho losakhankanywa uphumelele kulendlu ngalesithathu emini.
Umthetho losakhankanywa lotawubuka kusebenza kwe-Real Science and Technology Park sewuphumelele endlini yetimpunga kanti loku sekubongwe nayindvuna yetekwatisa tekuchumana netebuciko inkosatana sikhanyiso.
Nalabo lababonakalisa ukuthi babambise ilitiko ekwakheni lo mthetho eveni noma aphume wabamunye nje tawuse sive siyakhala kusasa ukuthi awukwashoda lokwa nalokwake phalithuba nabanetiwe abavelanga labalinye lelunga. Sibonga nje ukuthi timbonga tahlala njalo tiwa nami tivuka lo mthetho ochamukelwana nesitifiketi sekuthi uyaphuthuma. Davele timbonga tasukumela etulu tasibambisa nalamhla ngiyabona ingaphungaphu imorali setulu ngiyabambiseka vele kude namunye lobe nengcingwana lenjani.
Timbonga tiwujabulele lo mthetho losakhanganywa tathi utawusita eMaswati.
Ngibonge kusuka le emuva solo sekubhili yesi-7 nyalo solo timbonga tisethwele umuntu njenga-chairperson nelikomiti sithi siyabonga kakhulu timbonga leti hloniphekile nakubo baphathi bethu sibonga asiqedi.
Sisengapani itaba na chief executive officer wayo lo taba na 5 years kwasatshwa lokuthi utawuthi na usumniketa 3 years angakwati kusebenza kahle atinde kulomnyaka lo wecala ukhanze ukuthi usati familiarizer kulo wesibili ukhanze ukuthi soyaqala nyalo sofuna umsebenzi engcenye ngoba phela uyathi usulomnyaka lo daku yamphelela icontract kanjalo nalolo phethe sikhwama.
Lese kusele manje ukuthi lo mthetho losakhanganywa uthole sibusiso bese uyabuya uyasebenza. Ndzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Themkosi Mavimbela nginavuma inkosi Nzinisa eParliamente.
Iphini landvunankulu Themba Masuku selikhuthaze abantwana besikole ukuthi bangawayekeli emasiko. Iphini landvunankulu lithi emasiko nguwona latawubamba lelive libe munye. Abekhuluma Prince of Wales eMbabane lapho bekuhlangene khona tikolo letahlukene tenda imidlalo leyahlukene.
Liphini landvunankulu Themba Masuku lithenge kubona abantwana bahlangene ngetemidlalo temasiko letahlukene Prince of Wales eMbabane langena labayingcenye yalomcimbi. Masuku uthethe lelithuba lekuthi ahlanyele imbewu yebuhle bemasiko kulabantwana latsite benda into lenhle ngekuhlanganiswa ngiwo emasiko.
Nibusiseke nasetikolweni tenu nichubeke ningayiyekeli indzaba yemasiko ngona akhalive emasiko ngona as-identifya as a nation and nasi-united sihlanganiswe ngemasiko nelulwimi lwethu lapha sikhona khona. Chubekani ke bantu bami kube kuhle lilanga lonke lamhla niphephe niphumelele nithole inkomishi ngemva kwasinonke ndathola inkomishi.
Masuku ubonge bothishela ngekuthi bakubone kumgcoka kuhlanganisa abantwana besikolo ngalolu hlobo. Bakhuthatile ke bonke labe bakhona kulomcimbi ukuthi bangakuyekeli kuhlanganiswa ngiwe emasiko. Ndzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Themkosi Mavimbela eMbabane.
Imvona yelitiko letemabhizinisi nekuthengiselana manxeba khumalo ihambisana nebahlanyeli timali ivakashele esakhiwo se-FM lesachubeka nekwakhiwa endzaweni yaseGamula kanye nendzawo yaseNzevane lapho khona kubheke ukuthi kwakhiwe khona lenye FM letothuthukisa ummango. Imvona yithi letakhiwo talama-FM titovulela sive sakuleti ndzawo emathuba emsebenzi njengoba angetulu kwenkhulungwane emaswati latawutfola umsebenzi kulesakhiwo lesiseGamula.
Indvuna yelitiko letemabhizinisi manxeba khumalo ihambisana kanye nenkampani yahulumende lekhanga abahlanyeli timali IPA ihlangene nebahlanyeli timali kutobuka sakhiwo lesakhiwa se-FM eGamula kanye nendzawo lapho kubhekeke ukuthi kwakhiwe khona ifemu endzaweni yaseNzevane. Indvuna yelitiko ithi lesento sekusungulwa kwalamafemu etindzaweni letisemaphandleni sihambisana nenkulumo yengwenyama nayivula iParliamente ngekuthi emaswati akhelwe emathuba emisebenzi.
And le investor sevele icalele iyatilungiselela ukuthi uma nje bagcetha laba labakhako ivele ingene ngekhathi ifake imshini kuqashwe emaswati. Kune clinic nje lenkulu empeleni letakwenda siciniseko ukuthi bonke labantu labasebenzako la uma ngabe badzinga lusito kutempilo bavele bete khona la kule clinic lekhona lapha kule factory le state of the art clinic Sibukeke ukuthi le clinic noko sitayivulela nje umphakathi wonke.
Lomunye wabahlanyeli timali wenkampani elekhicita timpahla yase Kingsgate, Zaid Vahad, uthi batimisele kusebenzisana neMaswati.
Very excited. We are quite impressed with the quality of work. It is most definitely a place that we can invest in.
Thokozani Mathenjwa losabambe kuba sikhulu emphakathi egamula uthi sive sendlunkulu sevele sime ngemumo sitimisele ukuthi sibambisane nayo inkampani kusebendwe kuthuthuke timpilo teMaswati. Umbiko uhlanganiswe ngithembelihle Magutshwa ngisenzevane.
Imvana yelitiko letempilo lezinkosi ithi kumcoka ukuthi isive sihlale sinakakela impilo yaso kude sitobane impilo lenze nale Kusile. Imvana yekusho lokho nayitfula sive sasenkomazi umtholampilo lomusha lotawusita sona lesive ngetempilo.
Umsebenzi wethu lomkhulu kufundzisa sive ngekuphila ukuthi una ufuna uhlala uphilile ufuna wendeni. Sicwayise sive lapha kukhona tifo letitawuvumbuka kuze hey kunesifo lesithile lesitawuvumbuka lesifo sitawufike sibe nje divikeleni ngalendlela sibese siyafundzisa ngetifo ukuthi nase unalesifo na indlela yokuthi utiphilise lokuthi silethe ema clinics sendela ukuthi nakukhona losukusola usheshe ugijime usonzele khona utovikeleka sifo singaze singene stopele emtimbeni.
Imvana yelitiko letemidlalo insha nemasiko Harris Bulunga ithi live leSwatini linemaswati lanemakhono lathuthukile lasezingeni lemhlaba. Bulunga uthi litiko litimisele kusekela abahlabeleli nemaswati labanemakhono. Bekhulumana isukumisa ngalokusemthethweni liplate letemculo lasonkondlo Sandile Nxumalo ezulwini.
Imbongi leyatiwa ngekuthi ngumsandi kababa seyingilenye ingcenye yeMaswati lesiyagagulwa ukuthi yi-national performer njengobe asangumhlabeleli. Indvuna yelitiko letindzaba tensha nemasiko Harris Bulunga ithi-ke emakhono akuleli adzinga kwesekelwa ngetimali kude atfutfuke.
There is no better way to express art than using cultural expression. It gives a sense of pride and patriotism. Not only that, it also makes people to stop and stare in amazement, and the outcome of that is that the country gets promoted in the process. It is therefore important that every artist, in order to make a meaningful impact in the world market, to never digress from the cultural identity.
Sandile Nxumalo lo yimbongi nemhlabeleli uthi ke tingoma takhe tisime kakhulu emasikweni kanjalo ke nasenkholweni.
The industry art has developed kakhulu, it has reached heights lasetulu.
Lo msebenzi ufika ngesikhathi la politiko liphishaneke ngekwakha luhlaka i-art and culture policy kanye ke nekwakhiwa kwetindzawo lapho bahlabeleli batawusebentisa kutilolonga ikakhulu emakhono abo pheceleti regional arts and culture centers. Etindzabeni kubika Sonto Mlangeni nginaThemba Shabangu ezulwini.
Inkantolo segwebeni lisahlatshwa iminyaka le-15 ejele ngemuva kwekulahlwa licala lekubulala Stanley Dlamini obeka ngumshushisi. Inkantolo ithi ihlatshwayo wende kucala ngesibhuku nesibulawela waphindze wangamsiti umufi ngemuva kwekumlimata. Lesigwebe sethule itolo entsambama.
Isijubo kulendzaba icale yafuna kuva kubameli ukuthi yini labangayisho kwenda sigwebo sibe sincane noma sibe sikhulu. Ummeli wanelisa hlatshwayo longunoncedo ndlangamandla utshele inkantolo ukuthi umsolwa uyatisola ngesento sakhe futhi uhle angakhoni nekulala ngenxa yaso. Ndlangamandla utshele inkantolo ukuthi umsolwa bekede inhloso yekubulala umufi kodwa bebanathile futhi waphoqwa nguye umufi. Wengete nekuthi isigwebo seminyaka lesiphohlongo singenela kulungisa umsolwa ngesento sakhe. Umbuso wona utshele inkantolo ukuthi lesigwebo semsolwa kufanele sibe minyaka lenge-20 lokungenani. Umbuso lobumelelwe ngumacebo Nxumalo uthi umsolwa wathi ngekubulala umufi wase uthi sewuyibulele inja. Inkantolo ibese igweba umsolwa yamtshela ukuthi akabonakali atisola ngalakwenda kodwa utivela yena nje buhlungu. Hlatshwayo ubonakele ahle esula tinyembede ngesikhathi lijaji limehlulela ngebucala bakhe. Inkantolo ibese imgweba iminyaka le15 ejele yathi itawubala nenyanga yinye layihlala esitokisini yasemele kude kwakwelicala lakhe. Lendzaba beyiphambi kwelijaji Maxine Langwenya. Tindzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Themkosi Mavimbela anginavuma inkosi Nzinisa enkantolo lenkulu.
Kwezemidlalo, badlali bekhethelo lesive esihlangu sibabhalisele lukhetfo lwalomnyaka. Labadlali basenkanjini batilongolela umdlalo wabo neTogo ngaphansi kwemidlalo yekuhlungela indzebe ye-AFCON iminyaka 2024.
Sihlangu semnikati sichubekeke nawo emalungiselelo emidlalo waso nelicembu leTogo ngaphansi kwemidlalo yekuhlungela emave layongenele e-AFCON eminyakeni lotako. Labadlali basachubeka nako kutilolonga labo-ke lebebasolo bangakawabhaliseli lukhetfo batfole lithuba lokuyobhalisa enkhanini kalobamba. Sekakhuluma nebetindzaba bangakacali-ke kutilolonga, kapteni walelikhethelo lesihlangu Lindo Mkhonda uthi nakhatsa lokhu kungabukeki kulula kepha-ke basenalo lithemba lokuthi bangachubekela esigabeni lesilandzelako sale midlalo.
Ngicabanga ukuthi nasishaya tibalo ngekubala ama-chances asesekhona and nase sisengalilahli lithawula ngeke silahli lithawula singakayidlali yonke imidlalo. Siditshelela ukuthi sifuna ukudlala yonke le midlalo sibone ukuthi nasekubalwa ekugcineni sitawuphethela kuphi. Sitawafaka vele lamandla sendele ukuthi nakubalwa sibuka ukuthi sitawuphethela kuphi. Yes siyathi ukuthi nayo iTogo yewathenga kakhulu lamaphoyinti because anything lengenteka kuCape Verde lambi kwethu ungatikhanza nase singatikhanza sesingekhathi.
Kanomceceshi waso sihlangu semnikati Dominic Kunene naye ubeke kanjena.
Mhlawumbe umuntu angacala ngekusho lokuthi ngeke kube igame letabalula. Basemva kwethu siyathi sibawadzinga kangakanani lamaphoyinti asikakhohlwa futhi labasenda kona nasiseTogo. So sidawuzama nje lokuthi sicaphele lesiye sikwende singile national team nasingena egroundini siye sitimisele. Singawanika nje lithemba lamaswati ukuthi sitawutimisela njalo ukuthi sihlale sitimisela lapho.
Lo mdlalo utadlala ngensimbi yesihlanu ngelisomfo eMbombela eNingizimu Afrika. Sihlangu sadlala ngekulingana ngamagoli lamabili ngale nangale emlendeni wekucala walo mdlalo. Lobekela umsakato weSwatini TV kutemidlalo ngiphathiswe Msibi kalobamba.
Umphathi wenhlangano lengamele tinhlangano tetemidlalo kuleli Darius Lomo sonike live etfologcina kuthi emalungiselelo emicimbi bekuhlomelisa tihlabani tetemidlalo esifundeni lesisendasi neAfrika sikaphelele konke kume ngemumo. Lomo uthi bende isiqiniseko ukuthi live ngeke lihlazeke kulo mcimbi. Ngaledote emidlalo sitibeka lapho tindzaba tetfu lomhla ekseni sabahleli timakethe nasibuya sizabe sikhulumisana na Managing Director waka Inyatsi Construction Group. Welcome back. Sakusela nawe losandza kuzivulela lo mhla on the show besivedile ukuthi sistabe sikhulumisana na Managing Director Sandile Mhlanga losuka ka Inyatsi. Sikhuluma kabanzi nje ama projects labawendako eSwatini. Sikhuluma ukuthi lenkampani lena is currently operating in 11 countries lokufaka ekhathi live leSwatini, eMozambique, South Africa, eMalawi kanye nalamanye nje emave. Evikini leliphelile ke besikhulumisene nemphathi wayo inkampani CEO Derek Shiba ngedominance ye-Inyatsi esifundeni se-Africa. Lakuveta nje lokubalekile CEO ukuthi Inyatsi has recently been awarded 2 contracts for major infrastructure development projects in Uganda and Somaliland in the past. Kanti ke lamhla sida besikhuluma nje ngama projects lalapha ekhaya eSwatini. Sikhuluma ukuthi Inyatsi has completed among many projects state of the art Mbadlane Manzini Highway and currently working on another one le kungumgwaqo wesicunusa kanye nenhlangano. Lokuhleke ngayo lenkampani ukuthi lapho enemisebenzi khona kuzuza kakhulu ummango wakhona. I'm joined by Managing Director Sandile Mhlanga kodwa sichazela kabanti nje ngayimisebenzi la sayendile eNyatsi. Sakuvusela Mhlanga nomhla ekseni. Siyabonga ukuthi nibuyile futhi nijasiniketa nje sithombe semisebenzi lesendiwe ngiyo inkampani Inyatsi Construction. I think nje kungaba kuva I think sengithinzini nje indzaba yokubenefita kwesive noma ama community members kuleyo kulawo ma projects lengeni wende edinzawo nje letihlukene. Ngabe vele mhlambe sive sizuza kanjani nje kuleyo misebenzi leniyendako?
Siyabonga kakhulu sifuselene babukele emakhaya. Siyathokoza ukuba khona la namuhla. Umuntu nje angacela ngekubonga liphupho lengwenyama le First World leli senda noma leli sivulele mathuba eMaswati liphindze livulele mathuba tinkampani letifana nayo Inyatsi le tender these infrastructure projects la khulumisa le First World. Kubuyela ke kulo mputho wakho ema communities aya benefita nasebenzisa nawo ngokucala ngokuthi when we nasifika enzaweni siya concentrate asente sholo ukuthi labantu abaqashwa kubantu benzawo. That's first priority. And then ke siyathola ukuthi sesiyalanza ke laba skilled le kunglabantu lekhanza ba permanent lesixoxoma nabo kulama projects lesebenta kiwo. But nje ifocus isekuthenini the local labor is our first priority. And then lesikwenda kolunye sisebenzisana kakhulu nema subcontractors. I think over the years sikwende nje kwaba ngumgomo wethu lokuthi ama subcontractors kufuna siwa develop. Kukhona nje ama subcontractors lesiphathethe bafike umuntu afike ahamba ngetinyawo lamhla so nenkampani lebonakalako so ne machine labahambe nathi through lokukhula kwayo Inyatsi Construction. So siyasebenzisana kakhulu nema subcontractors and we drive less intentional ngayo ngoba siyathu sekugcineni ku benefita eMaswati. Lokunye lesikwendako ngukhutsata kubo career fair ngikhuluma nje evikini leliphelile bese ethuthusini sikhulumisa abantu abesikole ngokuthi sifuna abonjinela, sifuna ama accountants, sifuna abo IT, sifuna abo dokotela and just telling ama real life stories labangakhona kurelate now. It's one of the ways lesikhulisa ngayo lenkampani. And then in terms of sports nakhona lapho si were very actively involved in sports utawatu ukuthi eminyakeni lophelile sibe sponsorishe iCOSAFA and nakuloko kukhulumisa le dominance into Africa nawubuka ukuthi kusuka abantu emaveni bete bato udlala la eSwatini nathi ke siyasuka eSwatini siyodlala in emaveni lamanye so kukhona lesi identify ngako and hence why we supported COSAFA. Ne-visibility yethu ngalokuthi vele asisebenza eSwatini kuphela sisebenza across Africa as well.
Okay, ngifuna sicobuke nje sikhulume ngayo nje i-growth yenu. I think sovedile nje dominance leni nayo in Africa. You're operating in 11 countries, Eswatini being included, and also last year you were celebrating iminyaka lengamashumi lamane 40 years. So lokusho kona ukuthi vele le nkampani seyikhulile vele. Ngabe lokho kusho ukuthini nje for Sive Samaswati?
Akuta nema opportunities lamanenge, especially in terms of exposure. Ukhanza kokuthi lamhla usebenza eSwatini, kusasa uyathathwa kuthiwa hambe usebenza eSomaliland. So it comes with exposure, and ukhanza ukuthi kuba ne-growth as well in the process. Kuvulele amathuba eMaswati kokuthi akhona kusebenza kulamanye amave. Sikhuluma nje emaningi eMaswati la akulamanye amave kubo Uganda kubo Somaliland, and bathatha le DNA lesinayo la indlela yokusebenza sibita ngokuthi DNA yethu bayithatha ke bayohlanyela khona kulamave lamanye. So it comes with opportunities. It also comes with pain as well. Ngalo ukuthi phela ufuna usuke ekhaya, it's sacrifice. But ke ngiko lesakusayina phela siyakholelwa lokuthi you cannot be successful aphandle kwa hard work and sacrifice. So le hard work leyo isho ukuthi ufuna usuke ekhaya uhambe uyosebenza event ongalati ushiye abantu ekhaya. So in that way umuntu uyakhula.
Okay. So again ukuthi kusuke bale mhlambe beta abantu obusita la eSwatini.
Lesikwendako lapho is ngalo ukuthi siyathikenya ngokuthi we are the only international company that has a head office in Eswatini. Leaning letting company tinema head office outside Eswatini. We are the only company in a head office here in Eswatini, lesementa internationally. So ngaleyo ndlela ukhanza ukuthi nasifike ven siyesifuna ukuthi bakhona appreciate ama systems lasa engraved lasa khona lesesiwakhile over the years. So bayeta siyabaniketa lithuba ukuthi babuyela eSwatini bafunze ama systems ethu, then ke sesiyababuyisela lela labaqhamuka khona. So ikhona le exchange, but ifocusa kakhulu ekuthenini kutholakala le DNA lendlela yokusebenza. So khona ukuthi sisebenze kahle la sisebenzana khona kulamave lasikhona khona.
Okay. So ngiyathi ukuthi last week besifocus nje kakhulu nje ngema projects noma ke imisebenzi lenienda kulamanye amave Africa, but ngifuna sibuke nje kafishane nje lawo ma projects lesenwendile nalawo lenwendako nje lapha ekhaya eSwatini. Sathi ukuthi umgwaco wehambadlana emanzini highway ngini labo sawuphelile nisasebenzana emgwaco wesicunusa enhlangano kulawo nje lambala nje lesengwabalile. Ngaba vele mhlambe lamanye ama projects lenwendako nje Inyatsi construction ngimaphi la eSwatini.
Umuntu ngicala ngokusho ukuthi sicunusa keke, a team is working hard, tirelessly committed. We will finish that project, and then lamanye la khona leswendako our water project kukhona nje project lesendako lapha ezulwini lesisayicetha nyalo sibizi nalambabane lomgwaqo losuke Scott uyofika Royal Insurance. Those are the few projects leswendako.
Okay, so ingabe vele mhlambe kuye kunithatha nje isikhathi esinganani ngibhekise nje i-project yakwakha umgwaqo anganani namandla lenafakako ne-team nje ushito nje ukuthi nisebenza as a team, kuye kunithatha isikhathi esinganani nje mhlambe ku-complete i-project, kukhona nje ukubambisana as Inyatsi construction?
Lesiphola kulesikhathi samanje is unlike previously when some projects and I think the pace at which the economy is moving, projects are required now in shorter periods, so that puts a lot of pressure on the team, and which is why sitting as Kuluma internally within the organization, we need to work hard to be able to deliver, and City Bona si partnerish and my clients there. Previously bokanza with some relationships la between contractor na client lo munye uhletingala lo munye uhletingala, but it's in a City Bona as a partner because we provide solutions, and nalo kuyasita ukuthi na sitwe lo asiphume ngala sithi no nasiphuma ngala, would it not be easier ukhanza ukuthi ke sekuhlangana kwemicondo and kwanza ukuthi project lebe ngathatha isikhathi lesithe siyakhona mhlawumbe nokuba shortened, but nje lokukhulu kakhulu lesibona was a general trend Eswatini and across Africa last 7 is project sizes remain what they are, but the time period is generally short. And then it requires a lot of planning, a lot of dedication, and hard work from the team that is executing the project.
Yeah, ngoba bese siyakhala nje umgwaqo nasongasapresent. Nanyatsi sola kacethi kanti ngumsebenzi lomkhulu. So ngifuna singene kuma projects lamanye mhlawumbe ama programs nje leni wendako. I think you did mention ukuthi nike na supporter ecosafa, so nikhona na kuma sports. So ngifuna ukuva nje ukuthi ngabe vele nasibuke nje luhlangoso labantu labasha kukhona yini mhlawumbe ama programs leni wendako kusekela abantu labasha bala eSwatini.
I think the program yethu lenkulu is our graduate internship program, the GIT program. Siyadiqhenya kakhulu ngayo. Number one, because now buka the current leadership team, CEO nje Bekalane Vikindle Pelile, he came through that program. I came through that program, and a lot of the senior or the executive team has come through the program, graduate training. So siyadiqhenya kakhulu ngayo, and it's one lesifuna ukuqhubeka ngayo siyente. Now buka as well, a large portion middle management yethu is in their early 30s. My side nje yethu management yakhona is generally young people, and within the group I think we've got about 4 or 5 MDs that are in their 30s. So we have one along with there is a drive to grow and concentrate on the youth.
Okay, so umlomusho nje lofuna kuba ingcenye yale program wenda kanjani kusekhona itikhala kwendeka kanjani noma bakhethwa ngeni was the whole process nje ukungenisa abantu labasha kule program?
I think eminyakeni lophelile nje we ran my interviews, and we invited the general public in terms of the youth could apply. We went through the screening process, and then we took on a number of lenang. So through the formal application, but in Jelesiku buka kakhulu more than qualification is the attitude, because we believe God would say, we can train for skill, but you can't train attitude. So we look at attitude, and laba who have come through this program have actually come through as a general labor, a degree. Nasibona when I was on a degree, but you're prepared to do that. We see that that is an attitude. Lomundu is not focused on certificate sack, but the attitude yake it's langkona corner. I can let me do with what I have, and we've had quite a number of success stories in and around Banfla Kalenje site in Bangadishonals Banema degrees, and then as we work as kind of degree, as sim 79, and they've developed through the organization. Okay. So those are some of the success stories that we're proud of.
All right, I think we have a minute nje Mr. Mhlanga. I think kwagcina nje lesingakhuluma ngako ngile Winter Warmers Drive lento beniyenda nje eziNyatsi. Kusiniketa nje sithombe ngayo, just a minute.
Okay. Siyabonga Lulu. We had it last year. We were focused on a local government hospital. So Stawqhubeka sibe nayo la sports. It's winter, sekumakhata. What can we do to assist? So Stabesi donated tingubo. We're still going to identify with which hospital we're going to do this year. But last year we had it. We were at RFM in Kamanzi.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Mhlanga. Sibonga kakhulu kusiniketa nje leyo insight ngemisebenzi yendako as Inyatsi construction. Mbukeli besikhulumisana naye Managing Director Sandile Mhlanga siniketa nje sithombe sema programs nama projects laba wasebendako bangu Inyatsi. Saveteleke ukuthi bayasebenzisana nabo bamfla abasha baphindze bakhona kwetemidlalo baphindze futhi bakhona nakulamanye emave khona la eAfrica esifundeni seAfrica bacuba yona imisebenzi. Uvetile ukuthi nayo inkampani seyikhule kakhulu njengoba nje eminyakeni ophelile beba celebrate 40 years of existence. Let's take a break. Sitawubuya sichubeke nehlelo.
Hello everyone and welcome to the show. You know the vibes, it's the beat down. The time is 8 p.m. It's time for you to relax, sit back, relax, and enjoy the music videos that I got for you.
Are they yours?
Ngabukela ke washa umkhukhu every Sunday at 3 p.m.
Welcome back. Kusile Breakfast Show savusela nawo lo sanza kuzivulela abesanza nje ukukhulumisana ne-Managing Director usokhona Inyatsi Construction Eswatini Sandla sinetha nje sithombe ngemisebenzi lasebayendile lapha eveni nemisebenzi nje lasebayendile esifundeni se-Africa nje bavedile nje ukuthi they are operating in 11 countries lapha esifundeni se-Africa and recently they have sabathula umsebenzi weku-constructor noma ke construct infrastructure eveni lase-Uganda kanye nase-Somaliland e-Uganda nje mkhulu umsebenzi labo wendawo njengoba aba-constructor lona lidam asena lapha eSwatini ngemini ngimisebenzi lasebayendile Inyatsi njengoba sakhuluma ukuthi umgaqo omkhulu mbadlane emanzini highway wakhiwa ngiyolenkapani kanye ke nemsebenzi laba wendawo njenjalo lochubekako kugege inhlangano Sicunusa Road nakhona uvetile MD ukuthi libandla lisebenza ngalokukhulu ukutikhandla ngalokukhulu ukutimisela kwana siqiniseko sokuthi leyo msebenzi loyo oba imphumelelo kunenjela kuvetile sifiso MD nenza ukuthi nabo bamflabasha babasekela njengoba dikhona nje inhlelo labatendako i-trainee and graduate program yabamflabasha ukuthi bafunze lawo makhono lawo nje labalekile uvetele ukuthi bo-MD lasebakhona nje la eSwatini labanengi they went through that program naye lokufaka ekhathi kanye na CEO phinze futhi bakutemidlalo ngaloko ukuthi na last year bakhona ke ukuthi ba support financially iCOSAFA so kuningi nje labakuvetile kuningi la kwendako Inyatsi construction event.
And I think for me lo interest kakhulu is the way laba inductor ngakhona bamflabasha nakhuluma ngayo i-graduate internship program yabo. Some of the people let nabo in the studio bengihleli nabo nanabo bathi bangena through that program. So for me logo retainer laba employees abo through that program says a lot, and I think the most profound thing like shilo ukuthi i-attitude ngeke uyi-train. So what they look for the most is the attitude. You can have the qualifications, which is essential, of course, but I think the most important thing is the attitude. And I think it's very important that Kusile Pila Butonyalo, because people talk about toxic work environments, they speak about their mental health, team building. A team cannot thrive if bantu bangabambani etandla. And so I think that was very important. You know, their middle senior management comprises of people who are between 30 and below. That's quite interesting. I met one of them, even though I'm not allowed to say their name, just a couple of months ago, and began to tell about his work experience with the group. And with the Inyatsi construction in particular, he's an engineer. He was very, he was very warm. And it's so beautiful to hear someone speak about their organization or their employer. And I think Lulu, the initiative outside of construction, hey lobusika lobu lesikubo bumakhada lolu, and it's
Ngiyabamba.
getting worse with every season. I think that's such a great initiative by Inyatsi as well.
Sure. Yeah, I think love it nje sifuze ukuthi last year bavame khetha nje sibedlela ukuthi batawunikelela siphi isibedlela ngaleto tingubo last year nje banikelela sibedlela lesikhulu seRFM bathi ke basatawubuka ukuthi ingabe kulomnyaka batawukhetha siphi isibedlela babanikelele ngaleto tingubo. I think lokunye nje lokubalekile la kuvetile MD inzabe ukuthi uma basendela uma projects lawo it's either la Eswatini noma mhlambe bakulamanye emave bacasha abantu bakuleyo ndzawo so benefita nje labo bantu labo balommango lo kanti lokunye labaphinze bakuvete ukuthi bayabasusa nabantu la Eswatini ukuthi bayosebenza akulamanye emave babatrain ukuthi nabo batoba nama skills la ceceshekile. So yeah inkulu nzima la idlalako Inyatsi construction ukuthi nje inkampani eseyikhule kakhulu 40 years beba celebrate 40 years last year lokusho kona ukuthi seyikhule ngendlela lesimanga. Asiphahlete emakethe nasibuya siwe na traffic update.
Lesi sikhathi lapho khona emaphoyisa agubha kuba khona kwawo even. Kulapho kukhuthathwa khona sive ukuthi sike sihlale phansi sibuke bumcoka bemaphoyisa empilweni yabantu. Siphindze sibuke indlela letinsha tekuphepha kubo bonke bucala lobuveta sihloko. Sive sakangwane siyakhunjutwa ukuthi singawafaki emaphoyisa etinkulumeni tepolitiki ngoba liphoyisa alingeni futhi alingenelani nepolitiki. Emaphoyisa alwa nebucala netingoti temgwaco kuphela nje. Ingako emaphoyisa athi wonke umuntu even akahlale ngaphandle kwekunceneka ukuthi angahle ahlaselwe tilwane tasendle. Umuntu lohlala eSwatini akatiphilele atisebentele ngaphandle kwekwesaba kuhlaselwa kwemucwa nekucekelwa phansi kwempahla yakhe. Nawe wena lophathekile emaphoyisa athi digulele kahle uze uphile ngaphandle kwekuphatamiseka. Lokungenteka ngekuthi tidlova tingene tihlasele labo labakunakekelako kuleyo ndlu. Sive lesihlakaniphile nguleso lesiphakamisa kusebenta kwemaphoyisa nabo bonke labalwa nebucala. Ngale kwaloko timbungushe tiyawuwangenela emazinyane kungenamuntu ekhaya. Lo mlayeto niulethelwa ngemaphoyisa embube abambisene nomsakato wetithombe.
Phize sikwamukela ehlelweni ngone nomuhle kulesikhathi sanyalo sithola i-traffic updates ezivele sinaye Malambule Sergeant Bekmuzigula elicingweni lotasipha sona simo semgwaqo ukuthi sime kanjani. Sikuvusela umhlakuseni Magwabane ngabe sikanjani simo emigwaqweni.
Anguvusele mnguni ngalokukhethekile ngivusele umbukelo elihlelo sivuka namuhla sina umoya etindzaweni letiphakeme kuduzelela nje kakhulu kubashayeli ukuthi litubane letraffic linake ikakhulu kade indzaweni letivulekile sende isiqiniseko sokuthi ke netimoto lodethu asipaki phasi ehlahla ngoba akhona emagala labonakala adilikela kodwa ke imotolo kanti ke emadolobheni ethu tibane temgwaqo edolobheni elikhulu laseMbabane disebende kahle noko ke umgwaqo wethu losuka lapha ngase icourt na uqhamuka etulo esitwashini ubheka khona kubosandla leyo mgwaqo loyo solo uyakhiwa sibona ke kuphakanyiswe yena stop and go lapho ke imoto lotiniketa nawona ke mathuba kucizelela nje kakhulu kubashayeli ukuthi asichubeke bekunene sibahloniphe labo labasebenza khona emgwaqweni ikakhulu kade lapho basilawula kuhamba kwethu kanti edolobheni lakumathapha kamanzini nalapha enhlangano tisebenza kahle tibane temgwaqo noko ke emgwaqweni wethu lomkhulu losuka lapha emhlaleni ubheke khona lapha kubonhlangano umgwaqo lo MR9 asicaphele bekunene nalapho umgwaqo uyalungiswa kunetigatshana nje letimbili letintathu lapho imoto lotihle timiswa khona kuniketana wona ke mathuba kulandzela ukuthi kubuyiselwa lona ke litiyela emgwaqweni lapho ligugubulwe khona nakhona sithi nje bekunena sichubeke sibahloniphe labo labasebenza khona emgwaqweni kanjalo ke nawusuka khona enhlangano uthatha umgwaqo lo MR11 ubheka khona lapha indasi kalavumisa nakulo mgwaqo nawusanza kuphuma lapha edolobheni lasenhlangano kunetinguquko letikhona lapho lapho sisebenzisa wona umgwaqo lesilungisele wona kwesikhashana. Siyaqhubeka-ke hambe ngelitubane leliphansi kulandzela ukuthi kuphakama Donatini njengoba kungumgwaqo lode lona-ke litiyela. Kanti-ke na ubuya usuka eBig Bend ubuya khona eTulu lapha kuhelele nga-MR8 nakhona siyakhuthazwa lokho ukuthi sicaphele timfuyo kwatise kokuthi kunemoba lodzilikako kunato tincola letinkulu bese-ke tiyawulambukela-ke leto timoti tilwane leto. Siyacela-ke sinakhona abashayeli banake liso lakho libe ngilelikhaliphile ngaso sonke isikhathi kukutensa indlela bese uthi sowubonile uthatha leso sinqumo lesiyaba ngileso lesifanele. Nakuletinye-ke tifundza asabonakala-ke ama-potholes lesigcizelelako nalapho awube kunene asinaki kakhulu siniketane emathuba ikakhulukazi lapho imoto lotiyawuphambana khona asene isiqiniselo ukuthi uyawugcina umgubudla wakho ungaweleli imsheya lowa ngoba ngekwenda njalo kutawudaleka tona tingoti. Nefuyo-ke selo iyabonakala emigwacweni yelive sibakhuthaze bafuyi ukuthi abayisuse imfuyo sitawuqhubeka senesiqiniseko sokuthi siyayigcoka siyayikhweshisa emigwaqweni ngendlela letawenda ukuthi imigwaqo yethu ibe ngilehambekako nalephephile. Kusifisela nje sive samaswati ilanga lelihle naleliphephile sisaqhubeka nemsebenzi wethu nanendlini emsakato sinifisele lona lisuku oluhle naleliphephile. Siyabonga kakhulu.
Sibonga kakhulu Malambule isikhathi sakho lomhlekuseni sithemba ukuthi nalabo labachubata imoto batawucaphela totsika bethu lasothi betile sibahlola emakethe nasiboya sibuka tindzaba lezichamuka ngaphandle kwalapha eveni.
We at Eswatini Television Authority are committed to observing the Eswatini Communication Commission's Broadcasting Code of Conduct.
Under the code, we are committed to broadcast news that is current, free from hate speech, accurate, balanced, and fair.
From politics to business, health, agriculture, courts, and global news, we bring you the latest updates as they happen, when they happen.
We cover all the sporting codes from the football pitch to the chessboards.
This is Eswatini TV News.
Using an ATM is a simple process. You simply insert your card, punch in your PIN, and withdraw your cash. However, this simple process can open up you and your finances to some dangers. So it is very important that you proceed with caution when using the ATM and never share your PIN. When approaching the ATM, it is very important that you have your card ready, either in your hand or in your pocket, so that you do not waste time going through your belongings, either your wallet or your handbag, as this will give opportunities for thieves to act. Thirdly, put your money away immediately. Don't give anyone an opportunity to grab your cash or your card after a withdrawal. Lastly, always take your receipt after each and every transaction. It is important that you get your slip after every transaction because it contains crucial information about your balances, and that may lead you to be a victim of bolandela. Be cyber aware, be cyber smart. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Let's take a look at international news. A fishing boat carrying migrants trying to reach Europe capsized and sank off Greece on Wednesday, authorities said, leaving at least 79 dead and many more missing in one of the worst disasters of its kind this year. Coast Guard, Navy and merchant vessels and aircraft fanned out for a vast search and rescue operation set to continue overnight. It was unclear how many passengers might still be in the water or trapped in the vessel, but some initial reports suggested hundreds of people may have been on board.
Back on land after an overnight tragedy. These are some of the survivors of the latest migrant boat capsizing in the Mediterranean. At least 100 have been rescued.
It is indeed a tragic situation, a very difficult situation with a very large number of shipwrecked people, a number that I think we have not faced in the past to such an extent and volume.
This is already one of the worst migrant crossing disasters of the year. But with hundreds of people believed to be on board the fishing vessel, the number is expected to rise. Coast Guard, Navy and merchant vessels, as well as aircraft, have expanded the search in the hope of finding more survivors. Of those brought back to safety, several were taken to hospital, though none in serious condition.
4 people who were rescued by helicopter were transported from the airport to the hospital with mild hypothermia symptoms. Here at the harbor, so far, we have transferred 13 people.
The capsizing is the worst off Greece this year and one of the deadliest in Europe. In February, 96 people were killed when their wooden boat smashed into rocks off the Italian coast of Calabria during a storm.
Russian forces fired cruise missiles at the southern Ukrainian city of Odessa and shelled the eastern Donetsk region early on Wednesday, killing at least 6 people and damaging dozens of homes, regional Ukrainian officials said. Russian forces have stepped up aerial strikes in their nearly 16-month war, a Ukrainian military spokesman said.
A warehouse on fire, residential buildings and schools in ruins. This is the aftermath of the latest caliber missile attack on Odessa. Emergency teams are searching for victims stuck underneath the rubble. The blast waves also destroyed food establishments and shops nearby. Those residents who survived the attack mobilized quickly to help clean up the damage.
At 2 o'clock, in the middle of the night, I heard an explosion. I lived near the Micron factory, and I heard it even from there.
It's really scary. We had just heard the air raid siren and hadn't even had time to get downstairs when the explosion happened. And just after the explosion, we went to the parking lot. It's terrifying.
Once a top holiday destination for both Russians and Ukrainians, the port city has been bombed several times since the beginning of the war and is now classified as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in danger. The eastern cities of Kramatorsk and Kostiantynivka were also shelled in an overnight strike, wounding civilians and damaging many homes. The Ukrainian Air Force reported that it had managed to destroy 3 missiles and 9 drones before they hit their targets. Ukraine military says Russia has increased its missile and aerial strikes. This comes as Kiev is moving its counter-offensive forwards, claiming some modest gains and intensifying the fighting along the 1,000-kilometer front.
More than 100,000 people have been evacuated from the path of a fierce cyclone heading towards India and Pakistan, with forecasters warning Wednesday it could devastate homes and tear down power lines.
These residents of Devbhumi Dwarka in India's Gujarat state are being told to move to shelter. They are among tens of thousands to have been evacuated from the expected path of Cyclone Biparjoy.
Landfall may happen any time between 4 and 8 p.m. on Thursday. During this time, there will be strong winds of 125 to 135 kilometers per hour, with gusts up to 150 kilometers per hour.
Biparjoy means disaster in Bengali, and it is expected to hit as a very severe cyclonic system, bringing storm surges and lashing rains across a 300-kilometer stretch between Mandvi in India's Gujarat state and Karachi in Pakistan.
The situation near our house is very dangerous. We had to leave. Here at the relief camp, we're getting food, shelter, water, and beds.
For many across the border, this is the second time in a year that they've been displaced after last summer's devastating floods that ravaged Pakistan. In many regions, recovery has scarcely begun.
We are in a bad condition. We don't have enough food or medicine for our sick children. The situation is not good.
Several people have already been killed in India due to rough seas and high winds. Messages of support, like from here on India's east coast, contrast with warnings from scientists that storms are becoming more powerful and unpredictable as the world gets warmer with climate change.
The mayor of the violent border city, Tijuana in northern Mexico, has moved into military barracks for her safety after she received threats, the president said on Tuesday. Just south of San Diego in California, Tijuana has become one of Mexico's most dangerous cities as criminal groups fight over drug trafficking routes to the United States.
She's the mayor of one of the most dangerous cities in the world, Tijuana, on the Mexican border. Now, after receiving death threats, Montserrat Caballero says she's decided to live on an army base.
It was a suggestion of the National Guard due to the threats I've received. I don't know who the threats are from, which group or which individuals. More than about fear, it's about safety. To show that the mayor who cares for 2 million citizens is also being cared for herself.
The Mexican president said his government will track how the situation evolves to decide how long Caballero will live at the Baja California barracks. He also said the same threats have been received simultaneously by Baja California's current and former governor. Caballero said the intimidation was related to her government's work fighting drug cartels since she was elected as mayor in October 2021. Located just over the border from the city of San Diego, California, Tijuana has long been a major transit point for illicit goods into the United States. There were 1,818 killings in the city in the 12-month period ending in May, a rise of about 9%. It's the second highest murder rate in the world, one of 6 Mexican cities in the top 10. Tijuana has also become Mexico's fentanyl capital. In March, soldiers found over 1.83 million pills at a stash house.
Former President Donald Trump remained defiant following his not guilty plea in a Florida courtroom on Tuesday. The Republican presidential frontrunner is facing 37 federal felony counts, including illegally retaining classified information and obstructing justice.
A defiant Donald Trump made a stop at a popular Cuban restaurant in Miami to greet supporters.
Food for everyone. Food for everyone.
Following his arraignment where he pleaded not guilty Tuesday. The first former U.S. president to face federal charges spoke later from his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey.
Today we witness the most evil and heinous abuse of power in the history of our country. Very sad thing to watch. A corrupt sitting president had his top political opponent arrested on fake and fabricated charges.
Hundreds of supporters and protesters were outside the Miami court, where Trump was arraigned on 37 felony counts, including willfully retaining more than 100 classified documents, some related to U.S. nuclear and defense plans, and conspiring to obstruct justice. The FBI recovered the documents from his Florida home Mar-a-Lago last August. Justice Department Special Counsel Jack Smith was appointed to lead the federal investigation.
Our nation's commitment to the rule of law sets an example for the world. We have one set of laws in this country, and they apply to everyone.
Smith said he's seeking a speedy trial, but it may be months before it begins. Trump is running again for president in 2024 and is the Republican frontrunner. An Ipsos ABC News poll shows that while Americans view the new charges as more serious than those brought in late March by a Manhattan grand jury over hush money allegedly paid to adult movie star Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election, the public remains split on whether Trump should be charged with a crime.
I don't think that Trump's position in the lead of the Republican primary is likely to be shook by any of this, but I do think these potentially have an impact if he does end up being the nominee on his ability to win the general election by damaging his standing with independents.
47% of Americans believe the charges are politically motivated, according to the same Ipsos poll.
To me, I think this is a travesty. It's surreal.
If proven guilty, Trump could face prison time.
U.S. President Joe Biden on Tuesday underscored U.S. commitment to supporting Ukraine against Russian aggression, meeting with NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg and announcing $325 million more in military aid ahead of an annual summit of NATO members.
President Joe Biden on Tuesday underscored U.S. commitment to supporting Ukraine against Russian aggression, meeting with NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg and announcing $325 million more in military aid ahead of an annual summit of NATO members in Lithuania's capital in July. Biden praised NATO's work, but also urged its 31 members to do more to meet a 2014 pledge to spend at least 2% of their GDP on defense.
We've strengthened NATO's eastern flank, made it clear that we'll defend every inch of NATO territory. I say it again, the commitment of the United States and NATO to Article 5 is rock solid. And our summit in Lithuania next month, we're going to be building on that momentum from working to ensure that allies spend enough on defense, the 2%, not just as a hype, but that's the bottom line.
Stoltenberg, who will leave office later this year, said the July summit will focus on how NATO can step up its support for Ukraine, which has managed to stave off a Russian takeover and recently launched a counteroffensive.
The support that we are providing together to Ukraine is now making a difference on the battlefield as we speak, because the offensive is launched and Ukrainians are making progress, making advances. It's still early days, but what we do know is that the more land Ukrainians are able to liberate, the stronger hand they will have at the negotiating table.
One thing Ukraine badly wants.
I think what is very important, our future in EU, and Ukraine is ready to be in NATO.
Is unlikely, analysts say.
It's not that the case is closed. There's a lot of enthusiasm for strong NATO support to Ukraine and perhaps for entry of Ukraine into NATO in the future, but there's still a lot of boxes that would need to be checked before this becomes a realistic prospect.
Stoltenberg has also been making the rounds in Washington, with Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell saying Tuesday that Stoltenberg told him he has invited representatives from non-NATO countries, Japan and South Korea, to the summit in Lithuania. McConnell also said Stoltenberg expects Sweden to formally join the alliance at the July summit. Sweden's entry has been delayed over objections from NATO member Turkey, which has accused Stockholm of not doing enough to crack down on their branch of a political party that Ankara sees as extremists.
Turkey has the chance to hold Sweden to account there, since Sweden would very much like to join the NATO alliance. And I think it's also a bit of a game for Turkey to get, sort of concessions, to get things from the United States, perhaps other members of NATO, to sweeten the deal and to get Turkey to approve NATO membership for Sweden. So there are a few bona fide issues, and then there's also a little bit of gamesmanship that Ankara is engaging in.
NATO watchers say the organization's unity will hinge on a new leader. And on this topic, Washington and Stoltenberg.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi makes his first state visit to Washington in 9 years on June 21st. The trip comes as the United States and India increase cooperation in critical emerging technologies.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will meet with U.S. President Joe Biden in Washington for talks expected to further their efforts to boost technology and manufacturing between the two countries. There is a deal in the works with General Electric to produce engines for India's military. The White House says the visit will expand on a strategic technology partnership, including in defense, clean energy, and space, as both governments seek to counter China's influence in the global tech landscape. Modi, who introduced a Make in India initiative 9 years ago, has struggled to turn India into a tech and manufacturing powerhouse.
There are areas in the past where India has had global scale success in manufacturing, but those are few and far between.
Rasa says infrastructure weaknesses and burdensome regulations at the state level hinder growth.
If you're talking to manufacturers, at the end of the day, they need electric power, they need water, they need easy to understand regulations, and those things are all controlled by state governments.
they feel like, hey, time is not important. They take forever to fulfill a project.
Ben Zhang's American company has manufacturing deals in India, but he feels the country has a long way to go to compete with China on price and speed.
China is like, okay, you get a project, boom, 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 they get done.
But political tension and COVID-19 lockdowns in China are accelerating change. Foxconn, which makes iPhones for Apple, will open a new factory in the Indian state of Karnataka next year, bringing 50,000 jobs, according to the Reuters news agency. And the first 2 Apple stores have opened in the country to much excitement. It may be India's wealth of engineering talent that helps the country make its leap forward, says Rassel.
You'll probably see more of an emphasis on India providing a lot of the technology and engineering background to do the back-end develop, design, and research is exactly what India is terrific at.
India has now overtaken China in population. Competing in tech and manufacturing dominance is still a work in progress. Matt Dibble for VOA News, Oakland, California.
President Vladimir Putin said on Tuesday that Russia was considering withdrawing from the Black Sea grain deal because the West had cheated Moscow by implementing none of the promises to get Russian agricultural goods to world markets. The deal, allowing Ukraine to resume seaborne grain exports, was brokered by the United Nations and Turkey in July last year to help tackle a global food crisis the UN said had been worsened by Europe's deadliest conflict since World War II.
It's not the first time Russia has threatened to walk away from the Black Sea Grain Initiative. But now directly referenced by the president, it may be closer to becoming a reality, as he said Russia had been cheated by the West.
We're thinking about how we can get out of this so-called grain deal. We were promised that our grain would not be subjected to such repressions, but unfortunately we were once again deceived. Nothing has been done in terms of liberalizing the supply of our grain to foreign markets.
Putin claims the West hadn't honoured the agreement that convinced Moscow to approve the pact, that the United Nations would help facilitate Russia's own agricultural exports worldwide. The UN expressed its concern Monday that Russia would withdraw entirely, but that it was working to keep good on its end of the bargain.
And we are working hard in order to make sure that it will be possible to maintain the Black Sea Initiative and at the same time that we are able to go on in our work to facilitate Russian exports.
The UN and Turkey brokered accord was first signed last July to establish a 4-month safe passage of grains from Ukraine's blockaded Black Sea ports. And it was seen as averting a global food crisis that threatened several countries from blocked shipments. It's been subsequently renewed 3 times, though the current agreement will expire July 17th unless Russia agrees to extend.
EU lawmakers pushed the bloc closer to passing one of the world's first laws regulating artificial intelligence systems like ChatGPT by backing a key text that forms the basis of a future law. While the European Union first proposed such a law in 2021, the draft rules took on greater urgency when ChatGPT exploded onto the scene last year, showing off AI's dizzying advances and possible risks.
MEPs in Strasbourg have given the okay to what are the world's first sweeping rules on artificial intelligence systems. The goal is to nurture innovation on one hand and curb potential dangers on the other. The rules in the EU's Artificial Intelligence Act have taken on greater urgency with the emergence of ChatGPT and fears that it will, among other things, generate misinformation that could undermine democracy. The EU's Artificial Intelligence Act governs any product or service that uses AI, classifies AI system risk from minimal to unacceptable. Violations would draw fines of up to 30 million euros or 6% of a company's annual global revenue. In the case of tech giants such as Google and Microsoft, that could amount to billions. Among the provisions in the Act to keep AI in check, there would be a ban on systems using biometric surveillance, emotion recognition, and predictive policing to identify potential criminal activity. EU legislation on AI could take years to fully take effect. To fill in the gap, Europe and the US are drafting a voluntary code of conduct. The UN is also proposing a code. It is warning of grave consequences if guardrails are not put in place.
The proliferation of hate and lies in the digital space is causing grave global harm now. It is fueling conflict, death and destruction now. It is threatening democracy and human rights now.
The UK, meanwhile, is aiming for a position in AI leadership.
I know people are concerned.
It will host a World Summit on AI safety this autumn, amid concerns that rules and regulations could be too little, too late to rein in the technology.
The UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, says that, driven largely by the war in Ukraine, forced displacement hit a record high last year, with more than 100 million people forced from their homes across the world.
War, persecution, violence, and human rights abuses, these are the main reasons why people had to flee their homes. According to the UN Refugee Agency, the number of displaced persons in 2022 stood at a record 110 million.
You may recall just a couple of years ago, or maybe last year, when we announced that for the first time we had gone over 100 million displaced people. Well, already 10% more have been added to this figure.
The report says the war in Ukraine was the top driver of displacement in 2022.
Last year, the number of people who were forced to flee Ukraine was 5.7 million. It was the fastest growing refugee crisis that we had seen since World War II.
The vast majority of Ukrainian refugees are in Europe, especially in Poland. The European Union activated the Temporary Protection Directive in March 2022, which allows Ukrainians to stay and work in Europe.
According to estimates of the Ministry of Social Policy of Poland, about 1.4 million Ukrainian citizens received temporary protection status, and about 900,000 of these have found a job as of February-March of this year.
Many Ukrainian refugees have a high level of education, and that has helped many of them land good jobs in Europe.
The percentage of Ukrainian refugees with a university degree is very high, and this gives them an advantage in adapting to the EU labor market. Also, they most likely know English or other foreign languages.
But even though Ukrainians are welcomed in Europe, the United States, and Canada, some still face many challenges.
The majority of the refugees fleeing Ukraine are women and children. So even things as simple as accessing childcare to enable women to work. This is a huge obstacle that a lot of people are facing.
A survey by the Ukrainian Center for Economic Strategy says Ukrainian refugees are also suffering income losses.
42% of Ukrainians had enough money only for food, or not enough even for food.
According to the UN, more than 70% of Ukrainian refugees want to return home when the war ends.
For many, it's important that Ukraine have European Union and NATO memberships. Ukrainians want to be sure the war situation doesn't happen again.
Before the Syrian war in 2011, there were about 40 million refugees and internally displaced people globally. The UN report says that since then, the number has more than doubled.
From cleaning cow sheds to hitting fastballs, Dennis Kasumba, an 18-year-old catcher from Uganda, is turning his American baseball dream into reality.
Dennis Kasumba learned to play baseball in Uganda, where many have not even heard of the game. This month, he took his first official steps onto an American baseball diamond with the Frederick Keys in a league for high-level amateur players.
When I saw my pitchers are throwing in 88, 95, 98, can I hit these guys?
Your designated hitter, Dennis Kasumba.
Kasumba's journey from Uganda to the US has captured the imagination of thousands on social media. One of his admirers is Joshua Williams, an American attorney and baseball enthusiast who helped make Kasumba's dream a reality.
Just started because I saw a video of him hitting off of the tire, hitting the baseball off the tire with a Coke bottle. So I reached out to him on Facebook, started talking to him.
It took Kasumba almost 2 years to get a contract with the American baseball team, but for Frederick Key's manager Rene Rivera, Kasumba was worth the wait.
We all see his videos on Instagram, the passion he put behind him so he can be good. And I think that the players already see that, they come and work.
Kasumba, who grew up an orphan in Wakiso outside the Ugandan capital, says he is determined to make the most of his opportunity.
There are a lot of kids, people calling my name, my jersey number, Kasumba. This is my first time to someone ask me, signature, photo.
Kasumba says he's not just playing for the Frederick Keys, he's playing for his country, his online supporters, and every person who's ever dared to dream big. Orzuma Kampaure, VOA News, Frederick, Maryland.
27 minutes after 7, sasifika maphethelweni indaba tethu tangephandle. We'll take a break nasibuya sifiso tabakhulumisana nanikiwe losuka etiko letekulima nge-Summit on Youth Engagement in Agriculture. Abenze khulumisana niyabaka IDCE asinchine semusetulu.
Kubhalisela lukhefo sekuqalile. Ngakho-ke faka isandla ekwakheni uhulumende wakho ngekuthi ubhalise. Bhalisela lukhetfo esiteshini sekubhalisa lesisedvute nawe. Kubhalisa kutawugcina amatili 14 inhlaba kulosetulu. 14 June 2023. Ungasali, zakha live letfu.
Lifestyle is about attitude, values, interests, and behaviors. And this is Eswatini Lifestyle, the show that shares stories of incredible people, events, businesses, and tastes that are meant to inspire Emaswati.
Be bold, be daring, be unforgettable, be passionate. Freedom lies in being bold. The greatest adventure is what lies ahead. Never lose opportunity of seeing anything beautiful.
Eswatini Lifestyle is Eswatini's premium lifestyle magazine show. We aspire.
After 7 asiphinde sikwamukele ehlelweni ngolelo muhle litiko-ke letekulima libambisene ne-office lenhlangano yakamhlaba lapha eveni and other government ministries as well as parastatals will engage on a 2-day youth and agriculture indaba kusukela ngamhla ka-22 kuya kumhla ka-23 kule nyanga lesetulu. The summit lena-ke ingephansi kwesicubulo lesithi empowering the next generation of agri-champions through innovation and technology systems. Nikiwe Dlamini is the Deputy Director of Agriculture and Extension. She joins me now to unpack this conversation further. Sikuvusele Nkosi lomhlekiseni.
Siyakuvusela nawe msakati ekuseni.
Nkosi, ngibona a keen interest by hulumende kumbandzakanyeni bantu labasha into programs across all ministries really. Manithi le summit lena is a youth indaba summit. Ngiyabona ukuthi this is one of the programs lapho ke khona iyona le youth inclusion. Talk to me the context yayo le youth inclusion in this program in particular.
Okay. I-Ministry of Agriculture uma isaqhubeka isasebenta iya-realize ukuthi kuwo onke lama programs i-youth isalele emuva in issues of agriculture. So uma ubuka labantu labalima konyalo bantu labadzala and i-youth it's like ayiboni noma ayikho la into agriculture yet. Uma ubuka statistics la it's about 58.2 where youth ayisebenzi.
Yeah.
So gani youth in Swaziland it consists of 72% bantu labasha. Kusho ukuthi le percentage incane lele into agriculture. If bonke laba 72 abangeni kahle into agriculture, kana ubuka kudla kuyancipha. Uma ubona timbi lebo Ukraine kuyasho lokho ukuthi kutawugcina kungafiki lokudla kudula futhi la even la kesilakangwane. So i-ministry isukume phasi ithi aseyikhulume ne-youth in Swaziland ivete tonke tingoni te-agriculture letikhona la kangwane. Sakade wami kutabe angathi ngathi kunjani but sibona lisasasa lelikhulu lebantu bonke labadila ne-agriculture labafuna kuta nje kutosita tsine kuleli langa leli. So kutabe khona abantu labasha at the same time kutabe kunalaba displayile but display anything that deals with agriculture and anyone lofuna kusita i-youth ingene into agriculture business.
Now ukhuluma nge-youth and I'm happy ukuthi sawudivetile let nombolo ukhulume nge-youth population yodwa nje 79 point something percent. Eswatini really is a young population. Watsinza kenza by unemployment yayo i-youth let's 58.2% as you mentioned. Kule summit nibuka kuba target kanjani labantu labasha ngoba nangilibuka nje level kangwane lisabalele kakhulu sinetifundza leting4 nitawukhona into yokuthi ibe inclusive because siyayibona inclusion ye-youth but is it inclusive in terms of nationally ukuthi nabaseshiselweni bakhona bakahoho bakhona baselibonjeni bakamanzini kanjani itaba kanjani le selection criteria ye
already sevele setikwayo kusho ukuthi kunetinhlangano letisebenta ne-youth including i-Ministry of Youth kunabo esinaw tinhlangano tebalimi letisebenta nalabadzala nalabancane. So bonke labo kunabo Namboard kunabo Eswatini kunabo Cotton Board tonke letinhlangano ma-parastatals nema-RDAs ethu are all over the country. So ngibona bakhonile kokuthi baselectele ebebaregister online through leto tinhlangano leto and kushothi besibaniketa ema-codes kokuthi sicela Eswatini uregister from this code to this code. Uthathe bonke abantu labasha losebenta nabo sivulile even to the public.
Okay.
Kokuthi nabo barejistile nalabo labangekho tinhlanganweni sekukuthi nje lehola lethu lincane we could only take 500 but sithena sivala itolo aphushe ma numbers seba more than 500 nyalo sawubuka ukuthi sidabahlalisa kanjani ngoba vele sebangeduli kwemandla utshengisa ukuthi bantwana vele bahluphekile they seriously need lokusitakala bafuna kwathi ukuthi what can agriculture help them.
The agriculture is broad ngoba yathi bengiyaye nginake ngisase sifundeni sashiselweni kunetekulima phindze kube nefuya nakule nikubita ngabo horticulture ke bese kuba singisi lapha ngakimi kutaba khona konke yini letinvo leti kule summit.
Ukhuluma iqiniso ukuthi agriculture ibanti kukhona vele tekulima labo horticulture kusho ukuthi ngilete ukulima ama vegetables netihlahla kukhona ka crop production sekhona ngala ka vet kune veterinary services kuphindze futhi kunala nekufuya konke kufuya lokukhona say research ikhona say land development nayo ikhona so leti nhlangothi tonke lesi sipophele ukuthi tibe khona so that kubede longadi ukuthi agriculture in Swaziland what is it all about sitimisele kakhulu kuveta stoti marketer nathi as iministry kokuthi sonzelani sito likhona so kude lisito lesinalo ka agriculture lesinganuliveta lapha emavuso trade center 22 23 kuJune kusho singilesine nangalesihlanu kuleli viki lelitako naku ke lokunye lokumnanzi I summit yethu will be live on Facebook ngelisito lwa Nampodo sitile kusho ukuthi bantu labasha sesizama ukukhuluma netinkundla zesiyaqhubeka sakhulumisana kokuthi abaye ngasetinkundleni kuvulwe i-Wi-Fi kokuthi ibe unlimited so that batokutana ngema gadgets abo batobukela futhi labanye nangabe bangasonzela kuma RDAs akhona ema RDAs lanayo i-Wi-Fi nawo basonzele ngakhona bavule i-Wi-Fi yabo bese bayacela ukuthi babukele le summit live sitawuzama kutshengisa tonke letingoni leti tabe tikhona lapha including ema stalls si interview some of labantu abatabe bakhona kuma stalls so that bato benefit bathole lokho ukuthi where can they get help all over the country batabe bakhona to assist everyone loqhamuka ka agriculture sector will be there to assist them lokunye ke lengingakusho umsakade nalambane ma programs lanetimali leti tawusita youth sibonile ngelisasasa lelikhona UN agencies UNDP uphume all out UNFPA uphume all out UNICEF uphume all out lengishiyako FAO uphume all out onke ma UN agencies aphumile ku-assista lo and bakhiphe imali tonke longacabanga wabuya kwaba ngema-parastatals ethu nawo aphuma akhipha yonke imali longayicabanga kwaba ngu-Finclude naye wathi yey uyathi nami bengithi ngidaba nayo i-summit le-similar to this sengicela kungena nami uphume all out na Finclude ukhona but Finclude naye nje unema-programs lesithina sitawusuka la naye utawuqhubeka nalama programs ekusita i-youth nalalamanye ma-UN agencies kanye nakuhulumende sinayo i-section in the ministry lesita umuntu lomusha kusukela etikolweni up to 35 years
usabala letinto leto I think kuvele nje kube sobala ukuthi ungabe unegligence na ungede wabona ukuthi there's this ambition lengathi le unwavering ekutheni tekulima la ngwane thatheke ngelisasasa lelisetulu indvuna etekulima umhlonishwa Jabulani Mabuza uhlala sho ukuthi agriculture is a mainstay to the economic contribution of Eswatini. I quoted at Nombolo in terms of GDP contribution and the employment creation contribution. I think employment sits at around 13-point-something%. With GDP, it's about 8-point-something%, which is quite high numbers compared to Nasbuga Njema ministries. Ngiyafuna lokuva ukuthi lobumqoka bato tekulima la kangwane just from you as someone vele lo practitioner.
Kulima, you cannot do anything. Minister wethu vele athi ngisho eBhayibhelini. Kulima kwaqala kuGenesis inzaba wathi uNkulunkulu be productive. Sho ukuthi kude umuntu lo expected ukuthi angabe productive empilweni. Kuba productive kusho la ukhona khona produce. Produce everywhere. Yonke indzawo sine nje site kulima sithi kubede nyalo indzawo letawuhlala ingakalinywa lapha emavuso wena bhuti kutabe kuna sitshengiswane ukuthi icompost istayenda kanjani ngoba sewudulile manyolo awusaphuma esitolo so batabe basikhomba enima projects lamanye into angilabani bantu ama compost manure so konke lokho driver kokuthi sithi everyone must be productive. Akubede indzawo la tawuhlala khona emasimu angakalinywa. Akulinywa yonke emasimu lonyaka. Ngiyathi kokuthi kudulile bomanyolo nani. But kukhona letiye tindlela njenge conservation agriculture. Letiye tindlela letenda kulima kube lula. So siyacela ukuthi bantwana banikedwe indzawo ukuthi balime. Ngiyathi ukuthi bantwana abakuthanzi kulima bafuna imali lesedudane letaba fast. So lapha emavuso sitawutshengisa even ema products la ngenta kokuthi bende lokulima bakuthanzi because kutaba nalokunye phandle kokulima like kune department lenye leyenda bo processing. So the process ababe khona kule value chain sitocela lokho nje ukuthi abayijoyine le value chain.
And ke iyangijabulisa kakhulu indzaba ukuthi nisabafundisa ngabomanyolo netiba kakhulu tindzaba tabo organic fertilizer. Tinglivela kangwane li host the Aseka summit just about a month ago with the Arab world and some other African countries. Kubukata tindzaba the climate change, tindzaba the conservation ukuthi we should go green. Green transition is something like ukuthi sonke siyithakasele. Kuyangijabulisa ukuva ukuthi kulomsebenzi wenlo ngilelunye ihlangothi lentala ubuketa. Kunendzaba ke lenitsinza kakhulu mangifundza nje le concept note yenu lesenza indzaba ukuthi ndabafundzisa abantu labasha ukuthi bakhona identify viable agribusiness opportunities. Kunemvlomusha lapha endubazi eshiselweni ngiyabekisa. Ucanisa ukuthi ngenele tekulima but engcenye ayisiko viable leyo opportunity lazama kuyi-explore. Engabe nanithi viable nyalo nithi nqwala wama sector lokufuna ukuthi bafocus kuwo kakhulu.
Uyathi ukuthi lama displays estabasinawo ngoba as much as kutabe kunema presentations ngifuna kusho msakathi ukuthi ema presentations ethu atawendo abantu labasha sitawubona bo CEO but kutabe kukhuluma labantu labasha instead of labo CEO mbamba kutaba na CEO lomncane so batabe bakhuluma ema lama opportunities bonamport bakhuluma opportunities labanawo akungesiyo bokuphela bo Eswatini batawukhuluma ama opportunities laba wabonako laba within the agriculture sector bakhulume NMC batakhuluma ngama opportunities netimali futhi letikhona to assist that lomlomusha to start tikhona letimali setinengi and bantu are not aware of letimali letikhona in the ministry. Kune lenye nje imali lenye le development fund le khona dinengi betilontsha nje minister tilontsha timali letikhona ka namport tikhona ka Eswatini tikhona and letimali leti na se ministry khona lenye lesukako yekusita nje umlimi so sifuna ukuthi ezikusukuma leto timali leto tisukume nebantu labasha labafuna kusebenza labafuna kungena into viable agriculture kusho ukuthi akhona lama business on top of that kutabe kuneba se commerce siyasebenza kakhulu ne commerce yona itawukhuluma nge-international trade kuthi and then internationally nguphi la bangamixa khona ema products abo so siyabafuna nabo bakhona kutabe futhi nema standards bakhuluma ukuthi phela ngeke ahambe letinto tingekho up to standard just the standards nabo sinabo from the Ministry of Commerce.
Swakhulu Deputy Director for Sikhatsa Kolomhleksen.
Siyabonga.
Ngeke Dlamini Deputy Director of Agriculture and Extension usichazela kabanti ke ngesummit labatawu banayo lapha emavuso mhla ka-22 namhla ka-23 khona batawu banebandvu labasha abaphumi ke ngenombolo kulomsebenzi omkhulu kangaka sibahlola imakethe uma sibuya sihlala phansi na head of marketing waka-IDCE Bhekiwe Zwane kukhulumisa nje indzaba ukuthi what makes ma-loan applications ukuthi abe unsuccessful esikhathini esiningi ngayinzawo.
Hey yo, this is DJ Cybers. What's up guys, King J's here.
My name is Tripo Intellectual.
What's up everybody, my name is SK.
Hey guys, this is your girl Z.
This weekend Eswatini has been such an amazing show. For all the years they've always supported all the local talent and all the local shows.
Catch This Weekend Eswatini every Fridays.
It's one of the best entertainment shows Eswatini.
So guys, you know what? This is the best show to have. Like if you watch Swazi TV and you're a person who actually enjoys watching like musical shows that have a lot of content, that have good stuff, This Weekend Eswatini is your show.
For all the good vibes, all the good energy, make sure you tune into This Weekend Eswatini every Friday from 5:30 to 6:30. I'll say it again, from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m.
A 1-hour fun-filled train of entertainment. We are taking you from 5:30 all the way to 6:30 every Friday, live on Eswatini TV.
And yes, of course, we are your #1 entertainment show in the kingdom of Eswatini. But you can interact with us on all social media platforms. We are at This Weekend Eswatini on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. Lale Latina, we will definitely get back to you. This is your official weekend party starter.
I don't wanna go around singing songs that people don't.
Welcome back. The Industrial Development Company of Eswatini, IDCE, is back for their 6th installment with Kusile Breakfast Show. Today we welcome Begiwezwana, who is the head of marketing at IDCE. On this episode, we are discussing, or rather unpacking, what makes businesses to be unsuccessful in accessing finance, loan applications. Miss Mangwen, asikwamukele ehlelweni 6th installment esenibala khaya vele. Kunjani mhlekiseni?
Ngiyaphila nqumela njani wena? I know sesibased.
Yeah, sen-based.
Sesibofile at home.
Sebavele bakubone nje so lo sisi we blonde hair ngilobhekile nasemadolobheni. Kusichazela nje ngema loan applications akutheni yini la yenta ukuthi kube likhuni ukuthi umuntu ayiphathe noma ayi-access i-loan application.
Okay, ngiyabonga Nxumalo. I think nje asesithathele isikhathi ku-unpackela bo somabhizinisi ngokuthi behind the scenes kuye kwentekeni na ufakele application yakho ufole ukuthi sofola i-response lethi i-application yakho ayikaphumeleli kubukwane. One of the things lebukwako ukuthi ufola ukuthi information ngale project yakho yincane. Lokho ke akusho ukuthi somabhizinisi akade ukuthi wendani. Somabhizinisi i-information unayo yiningi kodwa lena lasisherishele yona yincane. Kunana style lesinaso ke sekuya kulaba labasendele ama business plans. Kuthi angendele business plan. It's well and good. Kakhulu lapho ngicabanga ukuthi mina sisuke siyela ukuthi le business plan ibe ngale order lejwayelekile kanti futhi engcenye ibe yinhle. Otherwise soma business, I'm telling you, angayibhala i-business plan yakhe ngepen neliphepha because yonke le information ila kuye. Exactly. So nasesiyalena afike lona lo sendela le business plan kube nguye lo chonco. Kanti le information kumele ibuye kusoma business. Nase kahleti soma business na appraisal officer ka IDCE ukhanze kusinayo le information lenye akasavumelani nayo noma akaseva ukuthi ibuya le nombolo lona kuma cash flow projections. So kumcoka lo ukuthi soma business akhiphe yonke le information ngoba ila kuye nguye lo what the business kahle.
And I suppose kulelo point lelo obhekiwe could depend on the type of business. The volume of the information, so to speak. Okay, so but more so for the format and maybe the aesthetics of it all. But business unpack.
Kakhulu futhi nje ungathi vele angaya le timvo sekadibhalile. Lawyer uyomnika nje ukuthi ngixoxisele. Hayi kokuthi uyomcalelela phansi leti nombolo libuya la kuye ngoba ubuta yena ukuthi ema sales akho ema kanjani uwa projector ukuthi na ufola le finance from IDCE atabese aba kanjani uyasho lona ukuthi no IDCE nakangangithengela lokho nalokho nawukhona producer so much ngilosoma business lo wathi lokho. Yes
usathinza yona indzaba yema sales engabe wona afike bese sekaba info lemcwa kangakanani nje kule application yakho.
Kuma sales singabuka kakhulu ngala ku profitability. Ibhizinisi kumele ikhombe kuba profitable. Kuyenteka somabhizinisi afike nayo ibhizinisi siba bathe siyayibuka ibhizinisi uphole ukuthi margins are thin man. So anything lengathi yathikameteka la businessini nakungaba ikhumbi i-truck ibe stuck eborder, i-effect on the business ingabe seyiba astronomical in terms of kuba adverse. So siye sithi ibhizinisi kumele ikhombe ukuthi kulama revenues ayo itawukhona kufunda ema operations bese iservisa naye imali leseyibolekile ka-IDCE. Kuphindze kube khona futhi lokubuyela kumnikati webhizinisi in terms of njengalaba lokhola ukuthi usebenza la businessini kube khona lokubuyelako in terms of lata ukhona ukuthi akuzuze ngoba nangabe utawusebenza ebhizinisini ifande ema operations iservice iloan kube bede lokuzuza kokanzi vele uphila kuyo le business emandla nenkhaphu kuyehla kanike kuyahluka kuba khona naloko ukuthi ufole ukuthi lo mnye somabhizinisi uthi hayi kukhona la ngihola khona le business lena ngifuna kuyinesa ingangiholeli for a certain period it's fine but where aphila la kule business kumcoka ukuthi nalenzuzo yasomabhizinisi ibe khona.
Ngiyatibuta ukuthi ngoba emabhizinisi ahlukene kakhulu bhekiwe. I think we've had nasakhulumisana lama loans with some of your other colleagues sibukile bo agriculture sabuka nje inhlobo sileta ahlukene engabe in terms of ema sectors khona kufike kuvarishe kanjani le ngathi le evaluation process yenu in terms of lama loans akutheni you know what this sector it's not as easy to give you a loan because of certain reasons ikhona in situation le kanjalo vele.
Ngingathi ikhona ngiphinze ngithi kude ngiyawuchaza ukuthi ngisho ukuthini ema sectors vele awafanani ngiyiko ngicabanga ukuthi kuyo yonke episode lesibenayo IDCE ukhuluma ngekuthi water water stokhuluma because nasesibekele project yakho laphambi kwethu siyibona ngekwehlukana and noma ngabe iproject yakho iyafana nalenye kuba khona lemehluko letawenda ukuthi iphatheke ngekwehluka. So what happens is kunema sectors lokuthola ukuthi due to maybe lendlela lokuoperatewa ngayo singathi unstable mabom. Unstable in terms of ukuthi kulikhuni kupredicta ukuthi next season kutabe kwentekani or itaw behave kanjani angibekise ukuthi some sectors upholo ukuthi for the sake of example this season liklabishi liskas vele umlimi lonalo uthengisa ngentengo lesetulu next season liklabishi libe linengi umlimi le mali lebeka iprojectile ayisendeki so kunalawo ma sectors lapho umlimi hayi ukuthi le sector ayusakufandeki kumele bese sowukhomba somabhizinisi kokuthi ngitawenda kanjani kuze ngivikele iperformance yebhizinisi kuleti khathi where kutawusuke engcenye intengo yehle due to circumstances in the industry or intengo inyuke kanjalo lokho kula kulo somabhizinisi ukuthi akhombe le lwati nalolukhono lokusita le business ayisekele kuleti khathi leti ngathi singathi ti unstable. Yes, then we are corner for the funding.
And then in the situation of a startup niya ngikhuluma ngetindzaba tabo skill ne experience if I'm a startup how do I then show ukuthi maybe I do have the skill not so much the experience ifike kanjani le criteria lapho?
Thank you Nxumalo lwati lwesomabhizinisi letfolakala ngetindlela etehlukene lo munye umuntu unalo lwati ngoba ukufundisele lemfola kafuna kuyenda lo munye unelwati ngoba usebentile kule industry noma usebentile kuleyo ngapane lefana lalafuna kuyicala so as much as engcenye angakuyela ngesikolweni kodwa le practical experience inayo for us lokho kusuke ku enough uku exhibita ngaletindlela letehlukene kuyenteka ke lo mnye somabhizinisi afuna ukucala ibusiness vele lede mbamba le experience kuyo lapho siye sithi phela somabhizinisi khomba ukuthi utawucasha ucashe lo cwephesha lo tawukhona kokuthi ente lo msebenzi ngendlela yakhona noma nawe futhi ungsomabhizinisi ubwathi ukuthi lo lwati ungalitfola kuphi even if say basic knowledge yekokuthi nawe utokhona phela kubona ku Steve othamba njani ebusinessini ngoba ngeke sikubalekele ukuthi kuyenteka ukuthi ungsomabhizinisi uyibone opportunity but udele skill sekusale industry but nje uyayibona ukuthi uyathi lapha khona lokungaphuma yes so siyesho njalo angibekise nje ukuthi kulama sugar cane farmers ever kude ngapha nelede farm manager.
Okay.
Each and everyone has a farm manager because nango lo cwepheshe lo khona ukuthi aplane bo replanting aplane bo harvesting aplane konke.
Okay.
Yes.
And then like bo farming projects indzaba lenkulu nangithi ngomlimi ebhekiwe and I'm happy ukuthi kuphuma make lana loqhamuka ngale ka agriculture.
Yes.
Sinza indzaba ukuthi balimi kufuna babe nawo umhlabathi kufuna babe nawo emanti. Nine lokho kinako kuba mcwaka kakhulu kangakanani?
Kumcoka lokho nqimalo kule application yasoma business ngaloko ukuthi ema crops awafanani. Kunema crops lopfola ukuthi adzinga umhlaba lobandi, kunema crops lopfola ukuthi emhlabeni lomncane kukhona longakwenda. So nakafaka le application yakhe soma business noma umlimi, kuye bese sekubuka lokho ukuthi uyolima ini emhlabeni longanani. I-commercial farming kukhona lokho ledzinga ukuthi uku-reach in terms of lo mhlaba wakho. For example, umbila green mealies kune minimum laba ishowo laba baka agriculture ukuthi at least banemhlaba longaka otherwise ema margins akho angeke akunike inzuzo lejabulisako. Now uyewende mabhontshisi at least banemhlaba longaka bese kuba khona ke nakulesithi ma high value crops. Ema high value crops ngilawa la uthi noma ngabe ulime enzaweni lencane kodwa lenzuzo la kunika yona kube ngilejabulisako nawo lawo na unalomhlaba lomncane kumbe it's something umlimi la ngakubuka. So ukhanza ukuthi sometimes umlimi unawo umhlaba kodwa iapplication seyigilwa yini lo mhlaba awulungahlehle for the crop lafuna kuyoyenda in terms of size.
I'm afraid we have just below a minute, but I want you to stress out this very important point ngoba nhlanye igcizelela vele indzaba ye behavior nema accounts just
I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
I-behavior sikhuluma nge-character yasoma business. I-character yasoma business imcoka kakhulu. Siyamcheck vele soma business ka ITC ngokuthi utiphatha njani in terms of imali. Sibuka inanjana i-behavior yakhe ye-business siphindze sibuke neyakhe le-personal. Kakhulu nje nyalo lesingakusho ukuthi soma business buya sitokhuluma ka IDC sikhona eDlanibeka e5th floor usishayele ku7629989 sitocetsa yonke lenzaba.
Thank you, Eswatini from ITCE. She's the head of marketing. Sichazele kabanzi ukuthi nangabe u-apply for a loan yini ngawenda ukuthi ube unsuccessful. You can watch this episode again on YouTube. Wabhale kahle lawo manotes lawo kuze u-apply uphase. Sesifika maphethelweni nisale kahle.
Let's live it up and party and have cracking good fun. When it comes to edutainment, DSTV's #1.
Is everybody ready to go?
We've got the zaniest characters to transport you away. The party is cracking, so why not come play? You're gonna love it. We've got so many channels and a ton of new shows, like Disney and Nickelodeon, where anything goes. So live it up with DSTV. We bring the fun. You know we're #1.
Mbukele senguye futhi lesithathu asikuvusele sikwamukele ehlelweni taseParliament. Siyathemba siliviki lakho solo likuphethe kahle impela. Libito lami ngingisamkeliswe ngwakakhoza nginaye Mbongwa Dube. Siyathemba simbukeli awukasali nasakhalive lethu njengoba ilanga lalomuhla langa lekugcina lakubheka ukuthi